It starts quietly. You're sitting on your bed, phone in your hand, checking your bank account like you always do. Nothing's wrong. That's the problem. You tell yourself you're doing okay. Bills are paid. Income is steady. Life is stable. But something doesn't feel right. Not bad enough to panic. Not good enough to relax. Just stuck. And here's the part you don't say out loud. You've been making smart financial decisions for years. So why does your life feel like it's not moving? Why does progress feel invisible? And more importantly, what if the things you're most proud of financially are the exact things trapping you? Because these aren't mistakes. They're moves. Subtle, logical, socially approved. And once you make enough of them, they don't just affect your money, they define your life. 10. The safe job that slowly shrinks you. It starts with relief. You get the job, stable income, predictable routine. Your parents relax. Society nods. You made it. That's what it feels like. But here's what changes. Your life becomes structured around security. Wake up, work, get paid, repeat. Nothing wrong with that. Except your income stops being something you build and becomes something you protect. Small shift, massive consequence. You stop thinking in terms of growth and start thinking in terms of risk avoidance. You don't take chances. You don't explore. You don't experiment. Because now, you have something to lose. And this is where it gets dangerous. The job that gave you stability quietly removes your ability to evolve. Years pass. You're still there. Not because you love it, because leaving feels irresponsible. So let me ask you, if your income depends on staying the same, what happens when the world doesn't? 9. The lifestyle upgrade. You didn't notice. It doesn't feel like a decision. Just small upgrades. Better phone, better clothes, better apartment. You deserve it. You worked for it. That's what you tell yourself. And it's true. But something shifts. Your expenses rise just enough to match your income. Not exceed it. Not dangerously. Just enough. So you still feel in control. But here's what changes. Your freedom becomes expensive. You can't just stop working now. Not because you're irresponsible. Because your life has a cost. And this is where it gets uncomfortable. You didn't upgrade your lifestyle. You upgraded your obligations. Every improvement became a requirement. Every convenience became a dependency. And now, even if you wanted to slow down, you can't. So the question isn't, are you earning more? It's, why does it still feel like not enough? 8. The monthly comfort trap. You start tracking your money, budgeting, planning, managing. You feel responsible, disciplined, in control. Every month ends clean. Nothing chaotic, nothing broken. But look closer. Your system is designed for maintenance, not escape. You've optimized your life to survive your life. Same income, same expenses, same cycle, month after month. No collapse, no breakthrough. And this is where it gets subtle. You confuse stability with progress, but they're not the same. Stability keeps you in place. Progress moves you out. And here's the part that stings. You've built a system that works, as long as nothing changes. So what exactly are you building? A future, or just a cleaner version of the present? 7. The smart saving illusion. You start saving. That feels like progress. Money in the bank. Emergency fund growing. Security increasing. You feel ahead. Smarter than most. And in many ways, you are. But something breaks. Your money is sitting still, waiting, doing nothing, while time moves. Inflation moves. Opportunities move. And this is where it flips. Saving starts as protection, but turns into hesitation. You delay decisions, delay investments, delay risk, because holding cash feels safe. But safety has a cost, and it's invisible. Every year you wait, your future becomes slightly smaller. Not dramatically, just slowly. And slowly is dangerous, because you don't notice it happening. So now you have money, but no momentum, which leads to a deeper question. Are you building wealth, or just avoiding loss? 6. The approval-based spending pattern. This one doesn't look financial. It looks social. You buy things that make sense to other people. The right car, the right watch, the right lifestyle signals. You don't even think about it. It feels normal. Expected. But here's the shift. Your spending stops being about utility and starts being about identity, not who you are, who you appear to be. And this is where it gets dangerous. You're not optimizing your life. You're performing it. Every purchase becomes a message. Every upgrade becomes validation. And slowly, your financial decisions stop being yours. They become reactions to expectations, to comparison, to pressure. So now you're earning just to maintain an image. And here's the uncomfortable truth. The more convincing the image, the harder it becomes to walk away from it. So tell me, who are you actually building this life for? This was never about money. Not really. It's about the version of you that chose comfort over expansion. Again, and again, and again. You didn't get trapped overnight. You adjusted. You adapted. You optimized. Until one day, your life looked stable, but felt restricted. And that feeling, you ignore it. Because everything technically works. But working is not the same as being free. 5. The delayed risk pattern. You tell yourself you'll take risks later. When you have more money, more experience, more certainty. It sounds responsible, strategic, even wise. But something's off. Later keeps moving. Every year, you feel like you're almost ready. But not quite. So you wait. And this is where the trap locks in. The longer you delay risk, the more attached you become to stability. The harder it becomes to disrupt your own life. Because now, there's more to protect, more to lose, so the risk doesn't shrink. It grows, and eventually, you stop considering it at all. So here's the real question. Did you avoid risk? Or did you slowly eliminate your ability to take it? For the income identity trap. At some point, your income becomes who you are. Your job title, your salary, your level. It defines you, not officially, but internally. You introduce yourself with it. You measure yourself by it. And this is where it tightens. You can't just change direction anymore, because it would feel like losing status, losing identity, starting over. And starting over feels like failure, even if it's not. So you stay, not because it's right, because it's familiar. And here's the contradiction. The more successful you become in one path, the harder it becomes to leave it. So success turns into a cage, and now you're stuck in something you chose, which leads to something deeper. If your identity depends on your income, what happens when it changes? 3. The invisible time trade. You don't notice this one, because it feels normal. You trade time for money. Everyone does. That's how it works. But here's what you don't see. You're not just trading time. You're trading flexibility, control, energy. You structure your entire day around earning, and this is where it escalates. Your best hours go to maintaining your current life, not building your future. So even if you want to change direction, you don't have the time or the energy or the space because your life is already allocated fully. And here's the spike. You're not building wealth. You're maintaining a system that leaves no room to build it. So now ask yourself, if your time is already spent, when exactly were you planning to change your life? 2. The false progress loop. Everything looks like it's improving. Income up, lifestyle up, savings up. You feel like you're moving forward, but something feels off. Because despite all of that, you're still dependent on your job, on your income, on your current situation. Nothing actually changed. The numbers grew. The structure stayed the same. And this is where it breaks. You didn't build freedom. You scaled dependency. Everything got bigger, except your control. And here's the realization that hits. This isn't progress. It's expansion of the same system. So now the question becomes unavoidable. If you stopped earning tomorrow, how long would your life last? 1. The life that only works if nothing goes wrong. This is the final move. And you don't even realize you made it. Your life works. Everything functions. Income flows. Bills are paid. Plans are set. From the outside, it looks perfect. But inside, there's tension. Because deep down, you know something. This entire system only works if nothing breaks. Not your job. Not your health. Not the economy. Not your motivation. Everything has to stay exactly the same. And that's the problem. Because life doesn't stay the same. It shifts unexpectedly. And when it does, your system doesn't bend. It cracks. And here's the final realization. You didn't build a flexible life. You built a fragile one. And fragility is just dependency in disguise. So now you see it. Not one big mistake. 10 small ones. Stacked. Layered. Reinforced over time. Each one felt smart. Responsible. Safe. And together, they built a life that feels stable, but isn't free. And that question from the beginning. Why doesn't this feel like progress? Now you know, because it wasn't designed to be. It was designed to maintain, to protect, to preserve, not to expand, not to escape. But this isn't the worst part. Because there's a deeper layer most people never even notice. The decisions that don't just trap your money. They reshape how you think, how you see risk, how you define what's possible. And once that changes, You don't even try to escape anymore. That's what the next video is about. The top 10 financial choices that quietly make you dependent forever.